But science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, an illusion?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death? Yeah, so fuck up and die.
That's kind of how I operate my life.
Yeah, that is true. We talked about this before. We were raised by TV and YouTube, so mostly.
Yeah, like literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, we literally though I've been watching game shows a lot lately.
Yeah, you were saying.
And I only know trivia from movies. I'm like, oh, in this film they talk about like the distance between California and Arizona or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it. You know, it's like I'm like, oh, this certain species of animal. It's like, oh yeah, they talk about that in like, you know, a fucking like Isle of Dogs. I'm like, yeah,
literally,
I know what that is.
Yeah, literally. I'll like there'll be like a question and I'll know the answer, and half the time it is like my wife will be like, oh wow, that's impressive, and I'm like, you know, I don't actually know if that's 100% true because I'm basing it off of a film I saw, which I assume they did their homework, you know?
Right. Oh, I give a lot of credence to like Zaboomafoo, who taught me everything I know about wildlife. Like,
so next time I'm talking about chocolate hot dogs, you know, I'll be like, I learned it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Like I saw it in a movie.
It's a recipe.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate recipe.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that is
foul.
That's some stoner food right there. That's horrid.
I hate
That's
it.
what I was thinking. I really am like, that is you're neurodivergent there if you're like a hot dog and a chocolate bar. It's
just
like you're like I invented this.
drinking cans of like condensed milk, like sweetened condensed milk. I'm just
well,
like,
okay. You know, the idea behind a sip of it is nice, like a little dot. A little bit of sweetened condensed milk, like on a spoon, and you're like, it's kind of like a little spoon of honey or something. But yes, when they got the straw in it, and they're slurping it down.
It's like drinking like cake batter to me. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's like a baking
you're not
ingredient.
wrong.
You taste it. You lick it off the spoon.
You're gonna tell me.
You lick it off the spoon. Sure.
That's what I'm saying. You got the beaters, and you're not getting you're not tonguing those beaters, dude.
No,
and you're not baking right.
I get chastised in my house regularly because I'm like the fucking cake batter Nazi, and I'm always like, don't let the kids eat that. There's raw eggs in there. And then everyone else is like, boo, Dad. Like,
yeah, boo, Dad. Let them rock those raw eggs, baby.
I know. It's probably
living on the
fun.
edge, dude.
I mean, it's probably fine, but I'm sickly and I've had salmonella like 3 times, and so I'm like, don't do it.
Nah,
never from cake batter though. So
bird flu's a myth, dude.
That's true. Yeah. Raw eggs. I mean, they. I learned it in movies. They drink it for breakfast when you're getting a buff workout, man. That's a thing.
You do. When you need protein
or a hangover,
right?
Dude,
you
just crack an egg in it.
Oh
baby.
yeah. Oh dude, hell yes. I love old westerns where they make the like hangover recipe and it's just like more bourbon
just
and
bourbon and an egg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the Coldest Cinnamon Knowledge podcast. God, I wish I had a bourbon and an egg right now. I'm Levi, and that's Jordan.
Dude, speaking of bourbon, do you know who's a fucking delicious drink of bourbon? Is R.I.P. our boy, dude. Philip Seymour Hoffman, baby. Oh my god.
I forgot he was in this kind of because
the whole time I was like, God, this voice is nagging. It's so familiar. Why is it so familiar?
I knew.
And then when I looked at the credits, I was like, oh, duh.
Well, no, I knew immediately going in, but it's like when we picked the movie, I didn't think about it. But the first time, so I'd never watched this movie front to back, but I had started watching it, and like right after it came out on DVD or whatever, like 2009, 2010, whatever, when it came out, I started watching it because, I mean, I love stop motion, but also because I love Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he was alive at the fucking time. Not for much longer, unfortunately, but it's, I started watching it because of that, but I only watched like the first like 20, 30 minutes or something, but it's so good. So watching it and this, I'm just like, now I just wish he would have done more voiceover, man, because it was perfect.
God,
like it sounded like him, but he did like, I don't know. The Max character is like, he does such a cadence and like the way it's just like, I don't know.
It almost feels like they just pitched it up a little bit, or not pitched, but sped it up. Because
Maybe.
he seems like he's talking faster, or just that's his character that he does.
I feel like
But
he's
it's
just
great.
that good, dude. He can just
it's
he just got this
frantic,
hardcore New York accent, and he's very much like just this like train of thought with his letters. He's like, "Have you ever been attacked by a crow or a similar large bird?" Just like in the middle of a song.
Yes, dude. Oh my God, you have no idea. The writing of this is beautiful, dude. Because it's
great.
So that's oh my gosh. So stop motion capturing like spontaneity is so hard to do that in stop mo and in animation period.
Yeah.
You know? And this movie has, I mean, it's narrative driven, obviously, and so like you get a lot of like it's almost like listening to like a poem. Like there's a lot of like colorful language, and it really like it paints the world, even though you're kind of looking at this like kind of a flat, very little movement at times.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
little
and the
animation happening on
choice
screen.
of colors, which I'm
But-
sure we'll kind of get into, or the lack thereof.
Yeah. Right, and that's awesome. It's very punctuated, obviously, with the reds and the other like softer pastel browns and stuff. But it's like having it feels so spontaneous with just their train of thoughts. Like everything they do, and then the little cutaways to like flashbacks or their thought process with the bubbles.
Oh,
it's beautiful.
Well, it's so smart.
Yeah.
It's so smart because like the way the story is told, I don't know if it'd work as well in any other medium. Maybe like a radio play or something, but like it is so.
Yeah, right.
Like
really.
there's very little like actual spoken dialogue that you have to do with like lip syncing and stop motion animation. So it's like so much is like voiceover narration. Of like the actual narrator plus like the internal thoughts and their letters to each other. It's like mostly voiceover, which works fucking perfect. And so it's like you can have, I mean, I'm sure it was written really close to, but you can have like these more spontaneous moments because I'm sure they recorded everything first and then animated. You know what I mean? I imagine that's how I would do it. But
no, and that's it. So it's kind of weird. It actually, you do normally do that in stop motion, and like, you get the actors. They'll do all of their stuff together. But because this was such a small budget and such a like unique project, and it took like 5 years to get this like really going, and everything, and then it was like 3 years of development, and so he only worked with Tony Collette. It was Tony Collette and the narrator guy. They had a week together, and then Philip Seymour Hoffman, he never met. They just did it over Skype, and or some similar whatever video conference apparatus, and they only did it. They did it in 2 days. He basically did like 100% He did all of his stuff in 1 day, and then the second day they did pickups. It's crazy, dude.
So good.
It sounds so good. It took Philip Seymour Hoffman. He had like a year basically to work on it anyways, before the movie even started. So before they even had those 2 days, to film. So it's like pretty cool.
I miss that dude, man. I fucking love Philip
really
Seymour
do.
Hoffman so
Well,
much.
like until when I saw the credits at the end, I was like, oh, Tony Collette and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Oh my God, I forgot they were in this, and it's beautiful. I love both of these actors, and it really and it gets such a charm because I love how kind of like hidden they were. It's kind of nice when you because nowadays it's like you watch like a Kubo or any Leica, and they'll or any kind of Disney animation, and it's like they'll just be their voice, and it's like you're getting their voice, and that's it.
90% of the time, it's just Chris Pratt.
Let's go get him.
It's just Chris Pratt every time.
right.
We literally watched.
Yeah, so
the kids and I. We literally just watched back to back, fucking the Mario movie and the Lego movie from like 10 years ago. And Chris Pratt's the main voice in both of them, and I was just like, and he's just like everywhere. And I was like, fuck, I used to not mind Chris Pratt. Now I hate Chris Pratt. I think I keep getting all his ads he's like, let's pray together. I'm like, fucking
Halo, dude. His Halo. He's like, we have no association with this. I'm sick and tired of Chris Pratt being like, all right, we can, pull over your car and sit with me for 3 minutes, and we'll get a quick prayer session real quick. I'm like, Christy, I'm like, he's milking it from all angles, man.
Yeah, see, that's what I appreciate, because it's like Philip Seymour Hoffman could have done just Philip Seymour Hoffman voice, and it would have been fine. but he's got the accent. He's got like the fucking, like he talks like someone with like, because I like we've known people that with like Asperger's and autism and all that kind of stuff, and it's like he reminds me of people like, I don't know, just like kind of like the train of thought and like almost the like the cadence of like just like the almost mechanical, but like it's got that like so much flavor on top of it as well from like being a New Yorker.
I feel like,
with like a Jewish heritage New Yorker too that he's got.
All kind of like, right, and that's great too. Yeah, he lives that character, but I feel like we all kind of get that sometimes when you want to like, you just want to like info dump something, you like you get like that, you're excited about something, and that's how both of these characters are in this movie. It's fantastic, and it's really cool because it's like Adam Elliott is the like sole creator of this thing, basically. I mean, not to discredit like the hundreds of people that helped, with all the animation, but like he did he does the classic locks himself in a room for a year and will like just. He crushes the script because the script is phenomenal. Like it really, like you said, it could be a radio play. Like this could be.
It could.
You would get the same. You'd get the same out of it. Like kind of like Amelisa. It's like, it could have just been sound effects and a radio play. But do you want to give a little quick synopsis, or you want me to?
Yeah. I know. I was about to say. All right, let's pump the brakes and bring it back a little quick because I know this movie is like kind of a cult classic, but it may not be that widely seen. So if you haven't seen it or if it's been a while, real quickly. So it's Mary and Max. I keep wanting to go Max and Mary. Mary and Max, right?
Right. Why is that? Why is Max and Mary the more?
I don't know.
Is it? What is it?
I think it's one syllable, two syllables, something like that. Maybe. Yeah, some alliteration,
anyways.
But so this random 9-year-old girl in Australia in the 70s. She's got a life, and
Melbourne.
Yeah, she's got she's got a birthmark on her head. She's get teased at school. She's kind of a nerd. She's got an alcoholic mom and a distant dad and all this shit. But
no, she's a Matilda. Matilda
straight
type,
up.
basically.
She's a Matilda type with the hair and the dress and everything and the glasses. She one day while they're at the post office with her mom still and shit. She just finds like a random phone book because there's like a ton of stationery there for New York, and she's wondering about, like New York, what's that about? And she just finds a random name in there and was like, I'm going to write this guy and ask if babies, because, I found out babies come from inside of a beer can or the bottom of a pint of beer.
Yeah.
Is that how it is in America, or do they come out of the bottom of cola cans, right? So I'm going to just find a random guy who's got a fun name and ask. So she just picks like fucking dartboards, this phone book of New York, and just writes this random dude who happens to be Max, who is this like 44-year-old like man with Asperger's, just living alone with a fucking fish that he keeps fucking brutally murdering throughout the whole thing. And like a one-eyed cat and a blind neighbor that helps him out with stuff. And so the whole movie's just like,
and that feels so New York, dude. Even though like Adam Elliott is not a New Yorker. Anyways, sorry, go for it.
No. So I'm not gonna get into the details of their lives because this is a 100% character driven story between both their characters and their friendship and stuff. So they kind of build an unlikely friendship, kind of becoming pen pals over the couple years, and she's asking him all these kind of questions because she hasn't kind of no one in her life, and it causes him to have like these mental breakdowns, kind of, because it causes him to think about things that he's like not comfortable with. It gives him anxiety attacks, like sex and relationships and love. Like he doesn't click with that shit. But so they get to know each other, but eventually he has a full-on mental breakdown and gets hospitalized. A lot of other stuff happens too. He accidentally kills a guy
after his murder and his lottery win. Yeah. Then he finally has a mental breakdown.
Yeah. Things happen. Things happen into his life.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I'm not gonna go into all the details, but murders a guy.
You can't really because the synopsis is just you have to watch this movie because that is
the movie.
Yeah, the synopsis is like it. All the details.
Talk about how her mom accidentally drinks her dad's fucking formaldehyde from taxidermying birds. Like, you don't need to know that right now.
I mean,
but it's great. It's a great detail.
Like it's. Oh my god, we'll get into this. Just finish.
But he eventually gets hospitalized, which causes like a stop to the correspondence. Which then Mary gets sad, and she's like has a crush on this Damien kid that lives across the street. He's got a stutter and all this. And eventually she's like, oh no, he must hate me and all this and stuff. But eventually he comes back and is like, I'm sorry. My doctor says I'm going to be open, warts and all. I'm going to be honest. And turns out I have this thing called Asperger's and like, this is all my problems and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to try and do this. So he tries to like cope with it a little bit better. He's like, he finds new coping methods to like, if I feel myself getting worked up, I like find ways to cope myself down by like eating a chocolate hot dog or whatever. And
a Valium and then a chocolate hot dog.
Yeah, at least a Valium. so she's growing older, right? She goes to college. She where she studies like mental disorders and stuff like that. And she goes to college and she becomes comfortable in her body and hooks up with the Damien kid and bangs him a whole bunch of times, which makes him uncomfortable because she's like too horny for it, I guess. But she writes a book in college or shortly thereafter that's like focused. She does like her thesis on Max and about like Asperger's, and like she says like, and he's like living his best life trying to like own it now that he knows kind of what it is and he's got a label on it. He's like trying to accept it, but she like says some shit. I don't know if it's like because she's young or whatever. She's like, I'm gonna cure it and all this, and like it like really offends him. Like she wants to change him and all this, and so he just like has a full freak out, and he just sends her the M key from his typewriter that he always writes with, and that's it. And then their correspondence goes away again, and she like doesn't know what to do, so she shreds all the books that she had a fucking publishing deal with. She goes into like deep depression. She becomes alcoholic like her mom. She starts pounding sherry, watching her Ooblets cartoons or whatever. Her husband eventually leaves her for some dude on a farm that he's been a pen pal with. So her life just absolutely completely falls apart to the point where she's gonna fucking hang herself. And she's literally about to, and this delightful animation. She's like literally.
No, I was gonna say it's fun for the whole family.
Yeah, she's about to hang herself, and she's pregnant apparently, but the neighbor who she gets all the packages sent to is like an agoraphobe, but he comes and delivers a package finally that Max did send finally that was like, I forgive you. He sent all her stuff, like all his collection of all that he bought with all his lottery money. His collection of toys that was like one of her goals is to own it all too. Like one of the first things they bonded over. And so that kind of like saved her out of her stupor. And then so like a year later, she has this kid. She fucking shows up in New York with this kid just fucking standing tall on her own with this baby to finally meet Max in person. She goes up to his apartment and he's literally fucking dead and has apparently died that morning, which I guess is not as, it's like tragic because it's like after all this time they never really got to meet. But at least he didn't die like 2 weeks ago and was like eaten by his cats like she thought happened to him earlier.
Like, oh, right, that's right.
when he was locked up, she was like, he got eaten by his animals. And she's like, oh, it's sweet, but like this is my baby, and you know, you mean a lot to me. I'm a big girl now, and all this. And then she sees in his apartment like, oh, here's the vial of tears I sent him so that he could like learn to cry on his own and feel something. And all the letters over the years are all laminated and taped to the ceiling, and so it's a very sweet moment where she gets to be justified.
It's very impactful.
Oh, it's great. I didn't full on ugly cry, but I was like, I'm a big man. I got a little blurry eyed for sure.
Yeah, of course.
So
I got the chills. I got chills just thinking about it when you're talking about it.
She
right
touches
now.
his cold gray stiff hand, which to be fair, he's always gray, but and it's like, you know, they still, even though he's like, you know, you think about it, he's like in his 60s probably by then, and yeah, that's how it ends. It's kind of it's bittersweet.
It's like
he dies with a smile on his face. He's content. They've repaired their relationship. They never get to meet, but they know how much they meant to each other. You know what I mean?
Right. And yeah, and it's almost like her meeting is it's so hopeful. Like it feels so good because it is like when she gets out, it's like she has her kid, and she's just like, you know, that she's going to New York to meet him, and you don't know, like that's what's great. It's like so open ended. You have no idea.
It's such a like
happen,
her.
But
she hit so low, and she like undid so many things that she had going for her planning in her life. That it really does feel like this is the beginning of the new, like the beginning of the whole rest of her life. You know what I mean? It's like, is what it feels. It's just like she has so much potential.
It's a closure with Max.
Yeah.
And so she kind of can move on almost, and like form a new relationship.
Yeah,
Hopefully
well-
break the bond or break the scycle of abuse on her child,
Yeah,
Like,
hopefully.
her upbringing her upbringing is so rough, but it's so real, dude. I love it.
It's so I
much.
like how real it and the thoughts of a child, like that's what I really love too, is just so many the random you mishear things that are not quite right, like the baby in the beer, that it's just you believe as a kid.
Her neighbor has homophobia because she doesn't agoraphobia.
She doesn't know agoraphobia.
Yeah,
and they never
so
address
good.
it. She just says it correctly when she's an adult, which is she's a grown up now. She obviously learned it's not homophobia, but that's what's such a perfect little kid thing. I don't know. I love it. Like it feels so real. Like both their lives feel so real, but yet incredibly. And that's why it's I really like this movie a lot for the blend, because it would work really good as a radio play, like I said, but it would feel much more dramatic. But it's the stop motion allowed for the medium for a certain amount of zaniness,
charm.
The cutaways that are completely crazy when she literally, like I said a minute ago, where she's oh, he probably got eaten by his animal, and it shows her imagination, and he's getting eaten, and so many times the thought bubble is coming up where they're what, and the happy brain, it's literally his brain with a smiley face drawn on it.
Yeah, it's funny, and that's what this It's a very simple movie, clearly, because it's character driven and just basically a character study and a relationship and just narrative, essentially.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
telling
there's very
a
little
story.
plot.
But
It's just two people's lives, and they're kind of
so,
rife between them.
But it's so cool because there's to explain somebody's life, the details that are chosen feel so natural to a child telling it, and then an adult who has Asperger's and
developmentally
closed off.
Yeah.
Developmentally delayed and closed off essentially.
Yeah.
Even because of
Extremely
his disability,
isolated.
it's isolated him, and so him telling his life from his point of view, it feels depressing, but it's he's not really depressed per se, and that's what's interesting. He's frustrated because he can't fully connect. He does talk about being able to love, know what that's like to not be confused, confuddled or whatever. He makes up his own words. And it's just, there's so many details in this movie. It's amazing, and it's I do agree. Obviously, I'm biased because stop motion's
the
my
best.
favorite animation
Yeah,
style.
it's so cool.
So it's just so it's amazing. So it's I love for how it's utilized so well in this.
It is.
Doesn't have crazy sweeping. This isn't Kubo or Coraline or something.
Right, it's not.
Huge,
it feels
fanciful. It's
scrappy.
So
you know what I
real.
mean? Because we really don't get stop
totally,
motions these days that aren't and God bless them. I love the big ones even Leica or fucking Aardman. Right? It's those are great, but those are massive studios that have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
And this
Vengeance
feels
Most Foul, dude. It's so good.
Oh, it rocks, right? I mean, you just can't go wrong with with
No, right. And that's
Wallace and
watching,
Gromit.
if you look at something like a Vengeance, if you look at a Wallace and Gromit, it's compared to this, there is such a difference in production value per se.
Right. This feels like the old Wallace and Gromit, right? This feels the style of
the charm.
Very again, I know it's super hard and it's they do a lot. It's not super, I'm sure it is low budget, but it's the scrappy. You could tell everything is instead of having hundreds of people, it's a dozen just doing the animation and all that probably. Yeah.
And but I actually, there's such a charm because in this it's a lot of contemporary animation, and even contemporary and even just 30 years ago, it was things would get created almost in a factory. They would create the mold, do the silicone, build it. But in this, there were people who were just all the props. There's 300 props that are used in this, and they're all hand built. They're not molded and then created, and then perfected. It's they all have their own kind of wonkiness to them.
They do. I noticed that with the
are
scaling too of some things where it's just there's a trash can, and then there's such a focus on cigarette butts, but you can't really you can't make props that small. They're already so small, so the cigarette butts are fucking huge sometimes.
Huge, but
it works so good for the medium, and there's such a focus on it, so it kind of works where he's just obsessed with picking up cigarette butts. It's like sending letters to the mayor and shit.
Yeah. Well, and I
great.
love the perspective in this because like him I like how things are kind of like squished. Like him in his bed's only like 3 inches long. It's, like, it's crazy how short it is
It's
in
like
that
you,
room.
he
And, like,
could
you
not lay
see
down
it.
in it. He's always sitting up in it, and I don't think he could
Yeah,
physically lay the model down in it. Like,
No,
it's-
right, 100%. But it adds so much to it. It adds, and dude, dude, it's so real. Like his insomnia is like it hit me in such a spot where like, oh my god, that just when you're up and it feels so New York to me, where it's just like you're like, it's weird how you're in such a big city, but like trying to connect is, so difficult for him. And I resonated and I felt it. And
just seeing people
God,
on the
I love-
street, and
I
he's
do, I
like,
love
they
Max.
think I'm the strange one, And the black
Yeah.
and white, all his sections are in black and white, and all New York is. And it's interesting because it's like everything's like this monochromatic, and it just makes me feel like that's like kind of his life, where it's like very much black or white. There's very little room for anything that's not literal. There's like so much gray area, if you will, I guess, and a lot of mundanity too. So there's only color like in his hat and his tongue, and the pictures that he gets from from Mary. That obviously bring color into his life, literally as well as like metaphorically, right?
Yeah,
It's good shit.
and I think the things too. Also, I think there's like a little. My speculation is that the woman, he like has such a weird, at his like Eaters Anonymous or whatever, that woman with the red bright lips who like he likes, but it confuses him. Like he doesn't because he's like he can't connect, and it's like there is such a like, oh man, a vulnerability there, and it's like I feel so bad like that he doesn't know how to like connect with a human, and she's like kissing him, and you're like, well, that's a little inappropriate if she's doing it without your permission,
For
but,
sure.
Yeah,
But he's
but
like
also,
rubbing onions on himself later to like stave her off, It's like,
yeah. Well, right, and that's like, yeah, that's great how his imagination of like how to like navigate through
it's
life.
so
You're just
it's
like,
so quick
so
though.
good.
It's one line that's just that's like that's the thing about this movie is that there's so many singular lines that just do so much fucking heavy lifting for the character, and it's like, me, dude, it's like I'm such like that's my bread and butter. It's like you got good characters. If you had good characters, then it's like it doesn't really matter what the story's about almost. As so long as they're
Doesn't
good
matter
enough.
Yeah. As long as they're interesting to hear about, and
Yeah.
like, so it's so they're so lived in too. Yeah, that's like
The scene that first got me, like I was on board from the get-go because obviously, again, how I feel about stop motion, the talent involved and everything, but the scene where I knew I was locked in was that first letter, and I actually laughed out loud, where she's like, so like, do they come from cola cans, and asking all this, and then it's like his response, and it's perfect that it's like it's serendipitous, where she's like, oh, you're hatched by a rabbi sits on an egg. Unless you're not Jewish, then a nun does. Unless you're atheist, then a dirty prostitute.
yeah, like
It's
and I love how it's like he he knows,
And
the
she's
right
like,
way to
oh,
do it,
yeah.
but he's like he's trying to like placate her, and like that's what, and he's like also because of this connection with a young child, he's like, oh I was a young kid, and this is what my parents said to
I don't
me,
know if
It's
he
like
knows
the
fully, man. That's the
nonsense.
thing. It's like I could see it, but because that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
he probably knows, but it's just like the fact that he doesn't know how to act. Like who would have told him otherwise? Like he's never been with the woman kissing him is the only thing. He's confused when he gets boners. Like he specifically is like I've never used a condom. I don't know, but that's what makes it so good is that it's just like from the get go, her sending him this letter out of the fucking random blue. It's like couldn't be a more perfect dude, because like he is just on like enough of a level to like they learn from each other in a way that is just so rewarding, and they can have that friendship that really works. They obviously normally, because they're like, when she's like, my parents don't like the idea that a 45-year-old man from New York is writing me, I'm like, well, naturally, right?
Yeah,
but
of course. No, right, and that first letter that he sends also is like pretty. I'm like, oh yeah, if I was a parent, I'd be like, I wouldn't react like her parents because, well, they're very broken, but they're very damaged, but also like, I would definitely be like, okay, we got to talk about this because this is.
Her dad
you
probably
can have
just faked his own death. It's just like,
dude, I'm seriously like, yeah,
he might have.
and that's, yeah, right. And I wonder with the mom too. I'm like, is the mom did she kill herself, or is it just a true accident? And I guess it kind of doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. No, because that same way, it's like, however you look at it, it's like, yeah, she kind of did killing herself by either one way or another, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's too bad. And it's just like the fact it's the I wonder how much, because at the beginning it says, based on a true story, and I know that's like very vague. I looked up a little bit because I'm like, I'm like, is there real letters? And then I'm like, oh, it's just literally he had a pen pal, right, for years and years that was probably like that it's based off of. So obviously it's not like there's no real Mary and there's no real Max, really. But
you want to know there is?
Is there? From what I read, I mean, I didn't get too deep in the woods, but he's just like the writer and director had, when he was a kid, a pen pal relationship with an older man, right?
Right now, I will read you from Adam Elliott's Instagram. In loving memory of my lifelong pen friend, David Rubin, whom passed away last night in Delaware, USA. David was an inspiration for the fictional character Max in my 2009 film Max and Mary, or whatever, Mary and Max.
Nice.
And he had a tough life, and he was also often misunderstood. And so it's great. It goes on to like who he was, and like he looks. You should I'll post a picture maybe on Reddit, because it's like he does. It's like and in the I watched an interview, so I also have that too. I just immediately was looking up him because I wanted to know how they met, and it was lifelong. And in an interview, he said it was like from a class project or something, when he was younger. He just wrote somebody in, America, and because he's from Australia too.
Right.
And so it's like, so he wrote somebody in America, and they became pen pals, and they pen pals forever. And that's what inspired. So he talked about how all of his characters, every movie he's ever made, he 100% bases it off of people he knows, like either himself or his family members. And this was like his best friend.
Feels
and he
like you'd have to, you know what I mean? Like, oh, really?
Yeah. Right. So he asked him to be like, not to be in it, but he said I'm gonna create.
I'm gonna make this
character
movie.
too.
That's yeah.
Is this okay? And they never talked on the phone. They never video chatted. The only thing he had was a little photo of him, his face. And it's like, and he's like I didn't really know who he was, outside of like our letters that are our correspondence that we did, all the time. And so it's like, it's kind of wild that he's like I'm creating this character off of you. And he was like, yeah, the guy was totally on board and wanted to do it.
I miss.
So they were like,
I feel like we missed out on the idea of pen pals. Obviously, with the modern age, it's like it's not really. You can for the novelty of it, but with the internet, everyone being connected in that way, it's not really like you can have that. Did you ever do anything like that? You ever send letters and shit?
Well, I remember we did a pen pal thing in elementary school.
Oh,
and so I wrote some kid.
I did too. Holy shit!
Yeah, right.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
No, right? And I remember doing that and then getting a letter back. And then I in my weird, this is how I remember it now. Who the hell knows, 20 years ago or whatever, 20 years plus. God, so long ago, dude. I'm getting older by the minute. But
yeah.
I remember thinking is this real? Is this really a kid from whatever Peru
Just
or
the
something?
teachers being like, you fucking idiot.
I don't know. Literally, I have no idea. I was like, I don't know why. Now I'm like, I wonder if that really was a kid that I could write.
Letters were
watching
fun.
This movie, it did make me be like, oh man, I kind of I'm not lonely enough to just write some guy out of the phone book, so I'm not gonna. I don't need to.
Yeah, I probably am.
It'd be weird now to be like, hey, hey Frank, I'm.
And
Jordan,
snail mail too, because you gotta have it's gotta be, that's the charm to it, kind of it's almost like. Nowadays, no one's got no patience. You got to binge a whole TV show. I'm like, no, I want to wait weeks for my letter.
I feel like somebody, if you sent some random person a letter right now, it would be like a cease and desist. Like they'd be like,
I know. I do
How the
not.
fuck did you get my address? You don't send me. Well, and I want to send an 8-year-old kid my
Yeah.
letter. Wait, that's not,
Someone will show up at your door. No, I used to send letters to my cousin in Arkansas. We used to write letters to each other.
Yeah.
Which was kind of nice, back in the day. And that's fun.
I know. What I've always wanted to do, but like it's too hard to get going. I want to get the one where you have like a Christmas card or whatever, and you send it to your friend like every year, and then you guys just keep writing on the same Christmas card, but the date, so you've got like,
that's
you'll have
fun.
like,
I
like 10
found
years or
when I was
15
going
years
through
on
all
it,
my
and-
shit, we got it for like our wedding, and we've never once used it because who the fuck uses this? But I got like a thing that you used to do that, like
stamp.
a stamp that you do with the wax, like the wax seal. It's like a big fancy R for my last name's Robinson, right? So a big fancy R
sure.
that you do to stamp on the wax seal, and I'm like, fuck, we got to use that. So I'm like, I'm gonna start just writing letters to people, just threats, Just
I know,
I'm
yeah.
gonna
Right.
just
I
write
feel like
someone
I feel like I'm only gonna write. I'll only ever write one letter, and it'll be a suicide note.
yeah. I know. I'm like, God, I'll write you, even though we talk like every week.
Yeah. I know, that's the thing. I'm like, I really do. I'm like, I don't know if I wanted to talk to somebody, I'll call them. But
So what have you been up to since Tuesday?
I know, really. But I get it. Like Victoria has she has a friend in Utah that they send letters to each other, and it's like that. Yeah, like probably just once a month.
That's cute.
They get a letter and send it, and it's like, I'm like, that's sweet, that's nice. It's like, my handwriting's too bad. I'll need to get that sick, dude. The Underwood typewriter in Mary and Max, it's fully functioning. They wrote.
I saw
letters
that.
on it.
That's
It was
fucking wild.
Isn't that cool, dude?
It's too cool.
Isn't that crazy? It's so sick.
I
Like,
know
I love
prop.
The mix of.
I want a prop
Yeah.
from this, but I know that you would never get that one. He's gonna die with that one because I imagine that took so much work. But it's just like so many of those little props would be fun. Yeah,
They're so cool, and I love the correlation between snail mail and then all the snails. There's he has such a fascination with snails. Especially, have you seen Memoirs of a Snail?
No, I was gonna put that on there, but
yeah.
it's like a short film, right? Is it?
Is it only a short? No,
It might be feature.
Memoirs of feature.
Is it? Because
Yeah,
that's the newer
it's
one.
he's only done.
Is it his too? With Sarah Snook? Because they got nominated for something this last year. I remember.
Yeah,
That's how I heard about
so,
it.
yeah, that's his. Yeah, that's his late. So he's only done 2 features, and it's.
I did
this
not
one.
for some reason. I don't know why I thought it was I thought it was like 40 minutes. I don't know why I thought that. I think I saw like a video, like a year wrap up video for like Academy Award nominated movies or something like that, and it was like briefly mentioned on there.
Well,
and it had to do with the category.
He did one called Harvey Crumpet, I think. Is that Harvey?
That
Crumpet.
sounds familiar
And that
too.
was that's a short. That's like a 40-minute short or whatever, 30, 25-minute short. And then he did Ernie Biscuit, which is a short in 2015. But that one's just 20 minutes long. But then it's like, and then just.
Oh,
the
dude,
next,
yeah,
so
Memoir
only
of a
2 features.
Snail is an hour and a half.
Yeah, dude. It looks. I want to watch it. It looks fantastic.
Oh, fuck
the trailer's
yeah.
great. And it's what's beautiful, dude, is he reuses a lot of his props, and I love that. I love how he used that pug prop a lot, and he used the
Dude,
snails
I
prop a
know.
lot. And I wonder, or I keep saying prop, but it's kind of like whatever puppet animated object. But in Memoir of a Snail, there's so many snails in it. I'm like, he already built all his snails. He already had this awesome snail collection. I really loved his fascination with the snails. I like
the
watching them be
fish, all
animated
the
and,
Henrys that and it's so brutal because it's like it was obviously for gags, and that kind of goes into the dark humor of like this a little bit. It's just like just all the times he's just accidentally she's like, how'd the latest Henry get killed, like asking him, and he's like not paying attention, just like blends one up by accident, like one lands in the toaster and they like animated the fucking like skeleton on it. This is great.
Yeah, I loved her rooster. That the rooster was great. The rooster was just there for her all the time.
It looked
I loved
it looked horrified
all
all
their
the time.
characters
It was
so
perfect.
It did. Yeah.
I know.
And
I bet it.
What is the niblets or whatever. What are they called? Neubits?
Is that a real thing? I thought it was just like I mean, I feel like there's something
It
that's
had to
similar
be-
to that.
it's
That's
like
not.
Fraggle. It's supposed to be like.
Yeah, it's
feels
like not
Fraggle Rock and,
Smurfs, but like
or
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm like, if it's in America, I feel like it has to be fake, right? I don't. I didn't
that's
take the
true.
time to look it up, but if you know out there, if you're on, Reddit or if you're on YouTube, come tell us.
Yeah, come tell us. And you can
us
see
know.
Jordan aging by the minute, like we were saying. So tell me then. We've been beating around the bush a little bit. I am curious, and we're about that time. How much did this movie cost to make? Because I know it
right.
really varies with stop motion. It really varies because it's like so much of it is elbow grease. You know what I mean? So much of it's fucking elbow grease.
Right.
And it's like, but
And-
if you
and
have
building from the ground
people,
up,
yeah, if you were people that are really dedicated, like, I mean, I love Wes Anderson, but he's not out there fucking actually animating these puppets. You know what I mean? But I guarantee you, this
Right.
dude, Adam or whatever, was for sure. You know?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. He chose stop motion because that's his medium. He loves
Yeah.
it.
Well,
I'm-
and like
I'm right
Phil
there with you,
Tippett's with like Mad God, it's like that's your thing, and it's like a solitary like do with it.
Phil Tippett, dude,
That's on another level.
Phil Tippett's what he does is he comes in, he moves his animator, he takes 2 photos, and he does that for 20 years. And
Yeah,
then he creates one of the greatest movies ever.
Just in secret in a shed.
yeah, literally, dude.
Mad
But
God rules. That
no,
stop
yeah,
motion's so cool.
So gosh, dude, Mad God is so
Can't get over
good. It's yeah, dude. It's perfect, man. Like where this movie is phenomenal. I highly recommend it.
Highly
It's
recommend
just
it.
it's a fantastic story. But they keep like clarifying that it was 8 million Aussie currency, whatever the loony or whatever the hell it is. I don't know.
That is what they call
They
it.
kept calling it
800 million
Aussie
loonies, mate.
So, yeah, really, but it was 8 million. So, and that roughly is like 4 million in U.S. currency. It's
Okay.
like basically half the dollar, but it's like that's pretty good. Like that's like cheap as fuck, dude. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like
Stop motion is
what was it?
hard, man. It's
Fantastic Mr. Fox. I thought that was only like 20 million, and it was like 55 or 60 million or something.
dude.
to make
The Leica movie, like the last Leica movie, was like 300 million or some bullshit. Like,
Yeah, dude.
like what was the last one? It was
Oh, wait,
fucking
the one with the
Missing Link. Missing Link.
Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Bigfoot?
dude, Missing Link was like
Oh, that was-
250 million or some bullshit. Like it was,
Holy shit,
it was
that's
so much, and it's like, but it's because like the president of Leica is like their passion projects for him, and they're almost always a loss. But he's like the heir of like fucking Panasonic or something. Like I don't remember. Like he's like really rich. He's like really rich anyway. And so it's like he's like, I don't care. I just want to make these movies. Which thank God. Like
Thank God. Dude.
yeah, Leica's a fucking
is-
treasure. And it's
Leica
been years since
rules.
we've gotten another Leica movie, so hopefully there's actually don't
Well, yeah,
know what
and
they're doing. So hopefully there's
'cause
one on the radar.
They're making one, and it's kind of like a Brave looking esque. It's like kind of like
Oh, that rings a bell.
I think it's like Scottish or something, or maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't know, or like fictitious, kind of like Knockless. Oh my God, Loch Ness monster style.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
But-
no matter
so-
what, I'm there for it. So, well, how much did it make?
But
Though?
this-
Probably not a ton.
Well,
but
that's the thing. It didn't have a release. There was no wide release for this.
Makes sense.
It
But
just got bought. It just got bought at Sundance, and so box office. It said it only made 1.7 million.
okay.
And I'm like,
Well, it's like definitely
just
like
like,
more of
you
a
know.
cult film because yeah, it's like where it not only is it niche because it's a more. I mean, I watched it with most of it with my daughter, and it's like I don't think it's like. I mean, she didn't watch the end, but I probably would have been okay with it. But it's like, yeah, it goes into some dark themes for sure. But it's like life, it's like it talks about fucking suicide and shit. But it's and like some sex stuff. But it is niche in the content and being like an animation because unfortunately, and we've said this a million times, and this is the time to say it. This is fucking Animation Month. That animation is not a medium just for children. You know what I mean? It's not, but people look at it. A lot of people like immediately dismiss it as this is for kids. You know what I mean? But I think this movie walks a fine line that it's like kids could probably. I mean, my daughter thought it was kind of funny when she was watching.
Right,
She watched
right.
like a half hour
It's
of it
like-
with me, which for her is pretty good. So
yeah, right, yeah, right. Well, that's the whole thing. I think that's just what it is. It's like we've always said. Like this movie couldn't have been rated more than PG PG-13 probably, I guess.
Maybe.
But
Yeah.
even then, that's technically it's not rated. But
Right.
I can't. It's like it's that fine line where it's like it's not really PG-13.
Well, that's
just
what I'm
because
saying. It's
maybe
like
there's-
it's more,
but-
and
but
it fits in that perfect nook where it's like people who
Yeah.
love this movie and see it are really, really gonna like it. You know what I mean? I feel like if this isn't your thing, then you're never gonna see it anyway, and so I feel like you probably don't like it. So that's like kind of like how a cult film goes. It's like very niche. That it's like if it's not your shit, like if you look at Max and Mary and you like just see the black and white stop motion claymation, and you can either be like you're either like, oh, this looks kind of cool, or you're like, oh, what the fuck is that? And you know what I mean? And you're like definitely in one of those two camps. And so generally, I think if you watch it, you enjoy it, and it's one of those kind of movies because it's like I heard about this movie since it came out. Like I remember, like I said, I watched it or tried to watch it shortly thereafter. And so I guess I thought it was like more popular, but it's because we upper crust film boys are always got our fucking finger on the pulse.
Yeah, I know. Right? Well, I saw this. I'm trying to remember what it got on a streaming platform of some sort. I swear to God, I saw this on like Netflix in 09.
Yeah, had to have, right?
Or probably in
not
like,
09. They didn't have streaming in 09.
Right.
I was getting
2010.
DVDs from Netflix in 2011.
Yeah, was it? So, but then I don't know. I have seen this, so I don't remember where I saw it. I don't,
I feel like it was
either.
In the early days of streaming. I do feel like it was somewhere. I do feel like I saw it somewhere.
So it could have been maybe like 2013 or something. I saw it,
but
yeah,
that tracks. So we've been gushing about this movie because I do think it is really, really good. I would be remiss not to mention my only problems with it is not really a problem, but I feel like I do gotta say because I don't think it's like there is. I think the back third, as is so often the case, is sort of weirdly paced just because of like it has so many sudden time jumps because that's like she suddenly ages up so much.
Yeah,
which is fine, but it was kind of throwing me. And then I got really irritated with like a character decision. But after sitting on it for a sec, I was like, oh, that's more like the character and her like ambition and her youth, probably that I can write it off. But her reading Max's letter and him being like, I can't believe some people want to cure these kind of things. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't want to be cured. That's bullshit. That's offensive. And then her being like, I'm going to cure you. And I wrote a whole book about it. And that's like what causes their argument, essentially. That I was like, that's how do you overlook something like that, Mary? But then I realized I'm like, okay, that's just a dumb, young character decision and not necessarily
she was
a reflection on the film. Because at the time I was like, what? But then after like 10 minutes, I was sitting with with like her going through her depression. Because the whole time I was like, you dumb idiot. If you wouldn't have just blah, 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 and she wrote, I'm sorry on a fucking condensed can. And it took him strangling a homeless guy to forgive her.
I know, to realize he's like, whoa, maybe I am freaking out a little bit here.
A little much, yeah. Pump the brakes.
As he just fucking assaults that guy. But I agree with you where I was like, I'm like,
it was a brief pain in the side. Brief pain in the side.
A little too like, what is it, like knee jerky to be like, oh, she went from like one bad letter to like, I'm gonna destroy thousands of copies of my book. And I'm shutting this all down. But
well
and
rushed.
Also, like there's a lot of truth to it. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
like,
for
like
sure.
She thought that what she was doing, he was going to come with open arms and be like 100% on her side. And so when he wasn't, I think she went like scorched earth with it, which felt a little drastic. But
I mean, a fucking early 20s like kid that's like, again, they mentioned on her talked about how her overconfidence was like sort of a thing. You know what I mean? That kind of ended up driving people away because she like changed up her personality and was trying to be cool, and then like a bird shit on her head, or she had shit on her shoes. Like it was always something.
And then I think it does a good job at condensing years because it's like her changing her style and getting shit on. That's one scene that is like a whole year of her getting
felt
shit
like
on.
a huge phase of her life. Which again felt very real. Right. It felt like just like a page torn from that chapter, which that chapter of her life is not essential to the story that is being told. And so it's like the form of the character development kind of makes the structure and the pace, I guess, if you will, kind of take a back seat slightly. And so, because it's like, we want to tell this section of her growth, and we're not going to go into every fucking fine detail to pace that out. So I get that. You know what I mean? So it works, and it's not like a flaw or a complaint. It's just like, as I was watching, I was just like, oh, that's a little, goes through it, and then I was mad at her too.
Well, and I think,
About
but I
watching
think
her
that's
downfall.
exactly. But I think that's very effective, though.
It
Honestly,
is.
yeah.
I do think it is too.
Her
'cause it's
like,
you idiot.
her burning the books is like, that is like, again, just a page in like a year of her deciding to stop. You know, like,
Right.
And that's so it works on that, but it does. That was also
Because
I
it's
have
so
that
fast,
agree where
and
it
her
feels a little
reaction,
jarring.
it feels like knee jerky, but it is. But you're right, it's like over years. Because like presumably by the time she
Right.
shows up in New York with the baby, she's like
25 or
mid
something.
20s, I would have guessed. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's. I think they even say it in there or something, or they have. But the timeline's slightly wonky. But I mean, that literally it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
this is just like a memory, basically. Like it's basically like the movie's taking place in 2009, and this is a memory of 1990. You know, like of like up to 1990. So it's like from like a memory from 76 to 1990. I love that, dude. I love all the deaths and their tombstones are hilarious. Where it's like it said like she was a mother and she was Mary. She died because she drank sherry.
Yeah,
something
something like that,
Like,
yeah.
something like that. So I was like, oh, that's great, dude. God, that mom's rough. Her parents are so real, dude. It's so crazy.
Yeah, just
like they did not want kids. They barely want each other or their lives. And
The dad reminded me of my dad a little bit, because it's like my dad
dude, just-
would hang out in his shed and do taxidermy straight up, but it would be on all kinds of animals. He'd taxidermy like beavers and stuff for a while, and then he was like, it's too much work, and so he just skin them and just have their pelts instead.
No, hell yeah, dude. But yeah, that's metal, dude. I love the teabag, dude. Him like
That's what I was gonna say
animation-
earlier.
The animation of the teabag is
So
fantastic.
good. But
and,
that's a detail that feels like quirky, but also like painfully real, that drives home the mundanity.
and so important. Like,
Yeah.
it works so well to drive the story visually. That's what's so cool is this when there's not narrative happening in this movie, it's just visual gags, basically
is.
visual
'Cause
storytelling.
she's
It's
like,
amazing.
dude, because she's like how she falls in love with Earl Grey, and she wants to live in a Scottish mansion with Earl Grey, a man called Earl Grey.
Earl Grey. Yeah, like, yeah.
Dude, I didn't even there's so many things in like Max's life that happens to him, and it's just like Mr. Ravioli, dude. I cannot get enough of Mr. Ravioli.
I want a Mr. Ravioli tattoo, dude.
Yeah.
He's-
It's just like I had a
Do you know
best
what I
friend,
love?
and he just sits in the
They-
corner reading these days.
They reused Mr. Ravioli's character. That model is the guy that Papalopoulos, Damien.
Oh,
Mann
really?
was.
That
He's
goes
the
up?
sheep farmer.
That's amazing.
But his hat's different, but it's the same.
So
like,
good.
It's the same model, and I'm just like, that's what I love. I love when you can see it, and then and you're like, oh, cool. It's like they repurposed it, and like
Stop motion's so good because it's just so tactile too, and it's just like you have to be passionate about it. Like you can't. You can't.
Oh, you
there's
do,
no
buddy.
shortcuts, man. Like that's why, it's like there are a lot of ways to shortcut and outsource animation, other animation styles, and I mean I love all animation really, but it's like still there's no way around it, dude. You have to, and it's like the oldest. It's like a thing you have to build, a thing you have to animate. You have to sit there and actually take pictures. Like there are more modern conveniences to like make that easier and like software and stuff, but it's just like. Nah, dude, you got to do the work. It has to be done. And so it's just like, that's why you see so few of them. And I could just make this a stop motion podcast. And just unfortunately, there's
I
not
know,
that many
we
movies,
really-
though. I was going through them all, and I'm like, there's not. And that's why I ended up picking I didn't pick any of the really popular ones because I was going to do like a Leica and like Isle of Dogs and like all that. But I was like, no, let's pick some of these like weirder ones because there's just really not that many big ones because they're fucking hard to make, and it takes
they really
such a
especially
focus.
features,
Dude.
That's
I
kind
can't
of the hard
imagine.
thing is we
We've
kind of
made
focus on
shitty
features here.
stop motions. We've made shitty stop motions.
Yes.
And they've taken
They're
fucking
so
weeks,
fun.
man. But they're so good.
Yeah.
They're so fun.
Yeah. It's dude, I love it. Like I literally have like some puppets right now in the other room that I was like animating,
Well,
and it's like,
I really hope I get a
it's just
chance.
so-
I have to make a
hard.
60-second like short. It doesn't have to be a film, but a 60-second clip that is somehow a presentation talking about a subject in my class I'm doing. And I'm like, he's like, think out of the box. If it's just you writing a speech and talking about it on camera for 60 seconds, I'm going to dock you points. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do mine. I'm going to do a short 60-second stop motion if I can. You know what I mean? So,
Hell yeah, dude.
hopefully I have time.
Yeah,
So
that'd be sick.
anyway, I got a couple Reddits and then we'll button it up.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, Clones of People 2 says, first watch. It's been on my radar for a few years, but I never got around to it. I completely adored this film and was hooked from the intro. I love stop motion and I love the aesthetic here. The colors of the worlds and familiarity of the soundtrack made the whole film feel very comfortable. The voice acting was great, especially the narration. I know of Barry Humphries from his drag queen alter ego, Dame Edna, which rings a bell, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool.
Rings a bell. Anyway, and he goes on to say, and I never heard his natural voice before, and it adds to the warmth and comfort of the film. The story is crafted so well, and the main characters are immensely likable despite their imperfections, maybe because of them. The emotional impact of the film was so high, and the ending brought me to tears. There are a lot of heavy topics going on in this film, and the charm of the film makes these topics easy to digest. Overall, it deserved 9 out of 10 and a hidden gem of a film. If you like this, I recommend the book, The Curious Case of the Dog in the Nighttime. It's got a very similar tone and tragic comedy elements as this. Thank you for your comment. I just realized he says, I must have glanced over it because I commented on it earlier. He says, if you like this, I recommend this book. I didn't see it was a book, so it's like, dude, I'm putting that on my watch list. I thought it was a movie. I'm like, I've never heard that. It's a great title, but it's a book, which is, I mean, I know how to read.
Which,
so.
yeah, put it on your Libby, yeah.
I know how to read.
Well, yeah. Dude, the ending, thank you, Clones, for commenting.
Yeah, thanks, dude, yeah.
The ending is so fucking good. When it
hits
hands
hard
up the wall.
It hits so good.
Dude, it's just that. And
The tears
you get
first.
Mary's
She sees the
reaction,
tears, and it's just like, huh. Like, she gets a smile, even though it's a somber moment.
Yeah.
But then the pan up and more tears.
Her gasp, and you're just like, holy fuck, and it's just like every single photo, and how it's shot too. For me, that was a big part of it, where it bends the fourth wall, and it's just up now. It's just going straight up. But it's not, because it's not in it. They're not shooting on a ceiling.
No,
they're shooting against.
Well,
the
and it's
wall,
too big.
and
It's like a weird perspective
dude.
that doesn't make sense because it's
that
so
perspective
big.
is so cool.
And then it ends with he's dead with a kind of a slight smile on his dead gray face, but he's looking straight up. And they're both staring up at the ceiling, having this reminiscence of this connection that they helped each other grow so much. Yeah, it's a damn good movie. Good movie.
Do you know what's
great ending?
Really cute.
Great ending. Really landed the ending. For sure.
Dude, so fucking good. But when he's ironing, this is such a small detail. When he's ironing the papers and he's like, I iron them and then I laminate them and I put them somewhere special, he looks up. He looks.
Does he?
Ceiling.
Oh, that's
and
perfect.
and so it's just one of those things where you don't even you don't know it, know, and then it's that ending.
Well, cool. Memoirs of a Snail just shot up on my watch list because I was like, oh yeah, stop motion, so I'm into it, and I like Sarah Snook from Succession or whatever. But knowing that it's him too that had made it, and it's R-rated, so it's probably fucking heavier.
Exactly. No, it looks really good. It's like two best friends, going through their slice of life, their coming of age. It's
fun.
It's great.
I'm into it. Cool. Well, stay tuned. Go watch this movie if it sounds
Do we have any more Reddits?
No, I thought we did, but I think I got a notification on last week's movie actually, and not on this one. So I think is what it was. I thought I had one more, but I don't.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. So
well, thank you.
Check it out. Go see. We're still doing animation for a few more weeks, so be sure to go to the Reddit or the YouTube and see what we're watching this next week. And go vote on that and see what's coming up next. So, yeah, thanks to everyone that did vote and comment and all that. And if you're watching or listening now, you're fantastic. Yes, thank you, appreciate you.
You go on Patreon. Well, we always say this, but it's gonna Patreon will pop off. We'll start doing our bonus episodes again.
We'll get back to bonus episodes for sure. We just gotta start recording. We're just always so excited to talk to each other. We talk to each other first. We just need to pump the brakes, do the podcast first, and then do the bonus. Or do the bonus first. You're right. Right. I know that good. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you, dude.